Welcome to Buffy Virgin, a spoiler-free Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast. We're going to be deadly serious because it's season 6, episode 22, Grave. I'm your host, cartoonist Dennis St. John. Why doesn't everybody introduce yourself with the last time you got a big haircut?
Well, my name is Michael. I'm the Virgin. I've only seen Buffy up to season 6, episode 22, and I got a big haircut on Thursday, and I wore a mask, and Vanessa wore a mask, and it was really nice.
And your hair looks great.
Well, thank you. I did a modern man haircut that someone complimented me and said, "You look like a caricature of a modern man."
You do. It's nice.
And then in the dark at night, I was walking to a store. A random man said, "Hey, cutie."
Nice. Always good for the ego when that happens, buddy.
My name is John. Ever since lockdown started, my partner Harriet has been cutting my hair, and she's been doing a fine job. Although, don't judge her by the current haircut. She's I'm overdue for one.
My name is Travis, and the last time I paid for a haircut was 13 or 14 years ago. So I cut my own hair.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I cut my own hair. I haven't paid for a haircut in like the same amount, but I'm letting things shag out right now because it's almost Halloween. So I'm going to go as a greaser for my Zoom.
Oh, that's awesome.
As, an alien greaser, a teenager from Mars.
Not a Wolfman greaser?
No, it's been done before. I'm a teenager from Mars this year.
Uh-huh.
But before we just consistently talk about haircuts, let's start talking about Buffy a little. Let's listen to the summary for Grave and find out what happens.
The summary.
Darth Willow has everyone on the ropes. Buffy's stuck in a hole. Xander's KO'd. Anya is about to die trying to save the nerd duo when she's saved by a handsome former watcher from the UK. Giles is back, and he's all juiced up with magic and ready to fight Dark Willow, only to be immediately taken down and all his borrowed magic absorbed into the now Super Saiyan Dark Willow. Her power level is over 9,000. She's powered up like never before and ready to destroy the world. But first, she sends some Swamp Thing elemental dirt monsters after Buffy and Dawn, so they can fight and have their talk and everything. Meanwhile, at Burning Man, Spike is tripping out, hallucinating he's fighting the fire dancers and then that he's covered in bugs. Giles, now dying, tells Anya that Willow has absorbed the essence of true magic, whatever that means, and that's the opportunity for a good boy to reach her. Willow is channeling the magic into the remains of a satanic church, which we all know is how you destroy the world. When her BFF Xander shows up, using his heart and a story about kindergarten, Xander emotionally breaks Willow so hard she loses the color in her hair. All of her powers drop, and she falls to the ground, an emotional mess. Hooray, the world is saved. Oh, and Spike is totally unaware of all this, but he gets his soul back.
Hooray!
Oh, thank God it's over. All right. Hey, what was everybody's favorite lines?
Great lines.
Well, I've been thinking this, and so when it was said, it felt so good. When Giles shows up, uh-oh, Daddy's home. Love it.
Nice.
I really enjoyed Xander trying to break into one of the crypts, just kicking it over and over again, going, ow, 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 ow. Every time he kicked it. It was a silly joke, and it worked. Made me giggle.
I chose an actual... There were some actually good lines in this episode, but I chose one of the worst lines, which was Giles, silly girl, I'm dying. Giles, for some reason, is saddled with the cheesiest lines this week. He has to be like, Willow has absorbed the essence of pure magic. I can see.
Yeah, he gets Disney-fied. He gets like Disney bad lines. I like when Willow said, "It was me who took you out of the earth. Now the earth wants you back," to Buffy.
Yeah, that's a fucking good one, man. All right. The kill count.
The kill count.
So I counted 2 demonic decapitations, 6 dirt boys get dusted, 3 KOs, 1 fully wrecked magic box, 1 cemetery fireballed to hell, and 1 surprise apocalypse.
And how many beetles do you suppose got squashed inside of Spike's sinuses?
Oh, is that what happened? They all go in his nose? I want to talk about that one.
We'll get to that, I suppose.
But yeah, let's dive into weird noticings and trivia.
Weird noticings.
Daddy's home. I like Giles coming back and he's daddy. I've been saying that forever. Maybe they've been saying it on the podcast, but just call it out. He's dad. He was gone, and y'all played whatever crazy games you play when dad is gone.
Yeah.
It all comes out in a scene, which we'll talk about, that laughing scene. So I called it out in the notes here, but anyway.
Yeah. And also Giles is a daddy. We never really got into that, but he is for sure.
He's a magic daddy.
Magic daddy.
But of course, because he's daddy, everybody wants a hug. I just really enjoyed the moment where Anya really wanted a hug and wasn't quite getting one.
Yeah.
That was really sweet. And if this episode is a bit cheesy in moments, but I don't know, that felt like real feelings to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's funny also Giles used some of his magic power to correct his eyesight. Like, whatever, The way Giles magically restrains Willow, every time I see it, it always reminds me of how often in the Dark Phoenix saga, the comic, everybody is constantly restraining either the X-Men or Jean Grey, like either through magical or like other mental means. It's such a recurring theme. Like if you break down the pages, probably 80% of the pages is some character or all the characters being mystically restrained. It's it's like the Hellfire Club gets brought up for the first time, and it's everybody loves fucking magic bondage.
Well, I wanted to say that I think Anya dyed her hair blonde so that Giles would share affection, like the affection he has for Buffy or Anya. She's like, I dyed my hair blonde. Like when he came back, he'd be like, "Oh, Anya, I like you even more."
You know how I feel about blondes?
Yeah,
they're my
daughters. That scene also reminds me of when you come home, if you have animals. And you come home and one dog is jumping up on your lap for attention, and the other dog is right next to your knee, and pleading at you to also hug it. And that's the Anya. That's she was so close. She was just please.
John, what is this website?
Oh, well, so Giles mentions that he got his powers from a very powerful coven in Devon, which was funny to me because my partner is from Devon.
Oh, dip.
And I've been to Devon a number of times to visit her family. You can kind of see why that might be a good place for witches. It's where Dartmoor is. I think Stonehenge is not in Devon, but it's in that general direction. And so it does feel very witchy in some ways. So I just had a quick Google. And if you Google Devon Coven, the first thing that comes up is this episode. And the second thing that comes up is devonwitchcraft.org, which is a coven in Devon. And they have this really lovely bit about how to join their training group, which I think is kind of spooky, and I love how vague it is. It says, if you're interested in joining a training group and are over 21 years of age, that's in bold, they don't want anybody under 21 joining the coven. And there's something blah, 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 blah about what they do. And then we currently run an 8-session course, Introduction to Witchcraft/Wicca, which culminates in a ritual. At the end of this, we will discuss with you the possibility of progressing onto a 1-year pre-initiation course. So it's a multi-stage process with a ritual, which I love the vagueness of that. Seems like a pretty cool group of people.
What do you have to be 21 for legal reasons in the UK for?
Yeah, it's a good question. Because the drinking age is 18. I don't know if there's any usually 21.
I was going to joke about renting a car, but you're going to be flying everyone on a broomstick.
Maybe.
Good one, Travis.
Outmoded ideas of witches flying on broomsticks, poisoning the town, giving out poisoned candied apples. All that's not us. That's not Devon witchcraft.
Cauldron. Who uses a cauldron anymore?
I hate the media's representation.
So Giles and Buffy catch up after Giles subdues Willow with magical restraints. Buffy's catching him up on how horrible things have been since he's gone. Of course, I feel like she could be catching him up on horrible times, just her whole life is just a series of horrible events. But just the stuff that's happened since Giles is gone. And for whatever reason, this triggers Giles, and it's freaking hilarious. And then it's she starts laughing too. And ultimately it's a sweet scene, but it took me watching the scene a second time for it to feel sweet. The first time it felt demented because she's clearly looking for empathy. And then this mentor figure is just he just loses it after she mentioned sleeping with Spike. That's so unbelievable. There's no way that happened.
Yeah, I'm with you, Michael. This doesn't sit right with me either. I mean, I feel like if knowing Spike, if someone told me that they were sleeping with Spike, the first thing to answer that's oh my God, are you okay? How can I help you? not laugh in her face. I mean, I get why, like, because I think the whole like I get why they chose to write it this way, because like I think the fear is that he'll be disappointed and he'll judge her, which I'm glad that they didn't go that route. And I think this is a kind of alternative to that, maybe. But yeah, it doesn't feel very nice.
The thing that always strikes me in this scene isn't as much as laughing as much as like nobody's been calling Giles. Like, this is so pre-social media that he didn't even like check in to see how like Anya and Xander's wedding went. Like,
Yeah, does he even know about the wedding?
Well,
it's in the recap. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. I get it because I feel like there's, sometimes laughter is the appropriate reaction to like extreme things.
Okay, well, it always sits with me wrong. I think if I was confiding with an adult and they did this, I would be so angry. But it's cool. The show is like, oh, this is kind of, it's so unbelievable and insane. And what are we going to do anyway? We're not going to judge Buffy any more than we judged her. And then Giles, in that same scene, apologizes for leaving. It's like, I should never have left. Like he shows some amount of guilt and responsibility. Well, like, dude, I don't care now.
You got that Travis earworm, man.
Yeah, I think so. I got the Travis on my shoulder telling me like, oh, listen to his lies.
He's a bad daddy. I don't know. I really like the parts of the scene that are like, sometimes being an adult is asking for help when you need it. And like, to me, it really speaks to like how much Buffy just doesn't, and how much I, at that same age, like just didn't know what being an adult was. Like, like in a lot of ways, we're trained. We're taught in school for so long and we're like trained in our profession and stuff. But like actually like how to adult is like not something my parents really ever taught me. You know what I mean? Or
yes,
even knew how to teach, right? Or knew that it had to be a thing to teach, right? So I felt Buffy in that like yeah, I tried adulting and it's super fucking hard.
Well, there's no good transition to this comment, but Xander brings up the Spike's attempted rape of Buffy and brings it up, and Dawn, who hadn't heard that it happened, doesn't believe it really.
Right.
I mean, she'll bring it up again later as a proof that that her bond with Buffy is broken or like has never existed, and that she should be confided in for this kind of stuff. And like I like that scene a lot. The way that kind of pays off later in this episode speaks to maybe some adulting happening where people are honest about what's happening with them. That scene like was kind of, I don't know. It felt weird at the like. I don't necessarily like the way Xander brings up the rape so callously, like to hurt. I mean, it feels like he's doing it to hurt.
He's making a point.
Well, he's angry that people are
right.
That Don's like, well, let's go to Spike. He's like,
yeah,
forget Summers women and your Spike thing, right? I'm Xander.
Oh, he's driving a wedge from that relationship. Like, you guys can't be friends with Spike. You got to stop it. That bothers me. But then, he has a very good case study to point to as why Spike can't be trusted. But then, yeah, of course, everyone's got to discover this on their own. It's Buffy anyway.
I mean, I think we talked about this before, like in the last episode. I think we all agree with Xander's, frustration and his pointing out that Spike's not safe, but not the way that he brings it up in this particular context. Right? That he's bringing it up to score points, and that's fucked up.
After decapitating 2 demons, Spike's final trial is being swarmed by rhinoceros beetles. You can tell that. So it's just like this the one specific CG model they used for all of them were rhinoceros beetles. I think that's funny because in terms of beetles, rhinoceros beetles are like the number one preferred pet because they're non-venomous and they're gentle. So it wouldn't be that big a deal to be swarmed by them, really. I mean,
there are people who keep beetles as pets.
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
They are though cousins or whatever. They're related to scarabs, so that might be why they chose them. Because like if you're gonna make a living mummy, you got to use a scarab, right? But I think it was just because they picked like, all right, what are the models? What are the CG models that already exist? And like, this one's got a horn. We'll use it. It's like,
can we talk about the proliferation of CGI beetles? Like once CGI became, accessible, like doing CGI beetles or CGI little insects was like Hollywood's initial like scare tactic, right?
Yeah.
You saw it so much in the like late 90s, early 2000s, like. Mummy, is it
yeah. I was thinking about Brendan Fraser.
And so this one, the scarab beetles don't look terrible, but I bet like now the model for like a CGI scarab beetle or CGI rhinoceros beetle would be amazing. But We haven't talked about like the Mist era CGI effects yet. There's like some really weird CGI in this episode.
Yeah.
But maybe we can lump it all together. But I just wanted to bring up that this was like a phenomena of the time. CGI beetles and bugs.
Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah. Speaking of like CG of the time and stuff, the way they cut corners is like, apparently there's this giant magical battle between Willow and Giles that's like mostly off screen. We cut back to it and it's like, we're on round like 6 or whatever. And it's like the big stuff has already been done. You got to save that budget.
I liked when, Willow like throws the fireball and she's like, maybe you'll be in time to save Jonathan and the other one. It's like, she has this like blood feud with these guys and she's like ready to murder them. But even in those circumstances, Xander does not matter. I thought that was great. It was like a little piece of writing.
Oh, I guess I am going to take this from John. Hello.
Yeah.
So there's a burned pile of stuff at the magic box, and one of them is a copy of a William Shatner book, but I don't know which one. I just saw Wish in the corner of the burned pile.
Oh, you know which one it is. Dennis, which one is it?
Oh, I didn't look.
Is it?
No.
Oh, so that if for my zoom in and enhance, which Michael ripped out from under me, we have the magic box is burning and there's a pile of books burning, and the only title you can make out is it says William Shatner at the top. Yes, that is in fact the first Tech War book.
Nice.
Which I really like. I like the idea. Like, I'm imagining that there's this like conversation in the props department where they're like, guys, we got to burn some books, and someone's like, I don't know, it seems kind of sacrilegious. Maybe we shouldn't burn books, even for a film or a TV show or whatever. And they're like, well, what's a book that everyone will be okay with us burning? And they're like, I know, Tech War.
Shatner is going to be in the movie Rex this week. So this is
Oh, excellent. There is another one that you can kind of see. I couldn't make out enough to like Google it. It says Ridley something. Yeah. Not really sure what that says.
And then like the SO one?
And not enough to do a reverse image search, it sounds like.
Okay, I got to stop. I'll be at this. It's not.
Yeah, if you can figure it out, that'd be awesome. Love to know.
Anyway, they're just burning some books, which is always fun.
Yeah.
Always a good time.
Somebody should write a song about that.
Somebody should.
So ultimate power is too much for Willow. I didn't know how the scene was going to turn when this happened. So she low batteries, absorbs, Giles' batteries. Turns out this is a trick. That's later. We learned it was a trick because Giles knew that was going to happen, and then he was going to lose the magic fight. But he gave her so much power, and it like briefly turns her into this high empathy mode, which is like, I can feel all the things that everybody is feeling, and it's too much. And like, it's a really cool drug trip kind of vibe she's getting out of this thing.
Yeah, they're really hitting the drug stuff hard.
Right. So once again, ultimate magic is a drug, and then you get so high that like you can feel and touch everything. I think it would have been cool to spend some more time in this space of like ultimate empathy, but they kind of move on from it very quickly. Like, it's a brief peak high that you get where you get this empathy moment. And maybe this is like what our perceptions of drug use are.
I was thinking this is where the drug metaphor falls apart. Like, if someone's like, if you have your friend who's a heroin addict, you'd be like, I've switched out your heroin for LSD, so now you'll be one with everything and stop doing heroin. That doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. Right?
I mean, I was thinking more like the whole like having ultimate like empathy thing is like a trope of like telepaths. Like,
right.
Buffy has that issue when she becomes a telepath in earshot. She's like, I can hear everybody.
Also, Anya kind of points out later that like Giles, like before they really know that like she's going to get the ultimate empathy, like Anya points out like, oh, great, you just made Willow 10 times more powerful. I would kind of wish you wouldn't have done that. And even once you know it, the whole story, that still doesn't make a ton of sense. Giles's gambit is at least very, very risky. So you think about the rules that they've set up here, right? Willow doesn't want to destroy the world until she gets ultimate empathy. It's the empathy that taps her into the suffering of the world that makes her want to destroy the world. Before that, she's like a menace. She wants to kill people, and she doesn't want to be controlled. But he basically like leveled her up from like Hulk level to like Galactus level by giving her the empathy powers, and then luckily it kind of undoes itself. But he didn't know that was going to work out. Like, that's a pretty big gambit. It's a pretty big risk that Giles took there, I feel like.
Well, but he also didn't know that it was opening her heart means like choosing to destroy the world, because it's like how Willow reacts to hearing other people's like feelings is pretty irrational.
Yeah.
Oh, other people have feelings. We got to kill them. But really what they're doing and what this whole episode is doing, right, is like just grabbing plot points directly from Dark Phoenix saga. Like, sorry, I keep bringing up Dark Phoenix in this, but like clearly, like David Fury read this episode. Clearly, like somebody dropped the Dark Phoenix saga on his lap, and I was like, take from this, because that's the same thing that happens every time the Phoenix has to charge up. She becomes a more dangerous threat. That's when she drains her energy, and so she blows up the sun or a different sun and destroys an entire like solar system and becomes like a beyond Galactus level threat. You know, and that's when the Shi'ar Empire has to kidnap her, right? So it's like, now we're at final mode.
This podcast is sponsored by Disney International.
Oh, God.
Go see your nearest Marvel movie.
I'm only talking about the comics. I'm not talking about the Dark Phoenix movies, which I believe none of the writers ever read the comics when they were making those movies.
Well, that would hamper their ability to make up stuff. So
yeah,
you don't want to get any inspiration when you do that.
I don't know if I want to bring this up because it's going to be a sore point for Michael, but do you remember how they discussed the Watchers Council in this episode?
They like watching.
No, remember the Watchers? Giles is like, the Watcher Council knows nothing.
Yeah, he says that at the beginning. Yeah.
Because Buffy's like, did the Watchers Council send you? He's like, no.
Those fuckers.
Yeah. So they were not the big bad in season 6 either, Mike. I'm sorry.
Oh, look, they're never going to be the big bad. And unless it's season 7, but
maybe.
I think the show has stopped caring about the Watcher Council.
So one of the things I read online is one of the original ideas for this finale was for Buffy to fight the dragon that shows up at the end of the gift, and it basically wasn't done because the episode Once More with Feeling took so much of the season 6 budget. So, you know.
I'm glad they didn't do that. That seems like there's not a lot of meat on that idea, at least. Like Buffy fights a dragon, just a bigger monster.
Yeah. I think that
they'd have to give it some different stakes.
Always what they're like aiming for, though, is like Buffy fighting the dragon, right? Like if you watch that promo for the Buffy animated series that never happened, it was like 6 minutes and Buffy fights a dragon, right?
Got to keep boosting that CR, guys, as you go. Oh, man. So at some point, you know, maybe when we finish watching all these shows, you know, we could do a recap of cringy Xander moments, because this episode has a couple of them. And the other one is when Xander calls, I think it's like Andrew and Jonathan, one of the two of them calls him a social retard. And like, man, just like, it's been a long time since someone said that on TV. And maybe this is the last time. I don't know, probably not. But it feels a little bit late. And man, it just like, it kind of woke me up from my like Buffy watching complacency for a second. Like, oh yeah, this is 2002 and we're probably calling people retards. Anyway, that was a little bit sad. Anyway.
I mean, good to call it out and to notice it. I noticed.
You laugh. It totally made me laugh there. Like,
I noticed the return of the Alpert Mausoleum, which I pointed out that mausoleum, I don't know, way back in like season 2 or something.
Oh.
That was because that's the name of the therapist I was going to at the time. Funny to see like, oh, these old like, you know, we don't spend as much time in the cemetery to see these old like props we used to see so often.
So does that mean that either the Alpert, is the Alpert a prop in a prop cemetery?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So there must be like this amazing, like large prop cemetery on the Fox studio lot.
Yeah.
That's wild. Okay. And then I love the falling sword gag. I would just break that up because it's so funny because you're always like, it gets me. I like the falling props.
Reacting to the falling swords.
Yeah. It's just funny because it's gravity. It's so dangerous. Gravity can be dangerous. Be careful.
Hey, folks.
Oh my God. I would love to see.
Here's our PSA. Watch out for gravity, buddy.
Gravity can be. The more you know.
Don't just let things go.
Yeah.
I really dig the crazy coffin-filled set that they fall into. I think that's like both visually an amazing set with all the brutes and stuff, and the like hammering the whole theme of season 6 and the symbolism of like Buffy returned from the grave and now she's back in the grave. Like, this is where you live. It's one of my favorite sets of the season, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't as stimulated by the set. I was more interested in the sister team up happening here, and then fighting these, thankfully, pretty low level Earth warriors. Tell you what, if Dawn can take one out, but I enjoyed it. And then like the Spike craziness getting brought up. So now, like, we assume they'll be teamed up when Spike returns in season 7, I guess, since this is Spike with his soul is not going to get revisited at the end of this season. But anyway, that was really a sweet moment. I didn't realize it needed to happen because I thought that they were on the same page. Clearly not, but that was a really, really fun scene to watch.
Yeah, I agree. They get their talking out and then they get their fighting out. And that's just properly how you do things in Buffy, man. You gotta do both. I think it's the Earth Warriors, as you call them, or dirt golems, or elementals, are really interesting to me. Like, you're right, they're totally low level, and they're just made of. But Willow's able to now create life, which is a pretty major thing. But I think it's interesting that suddenly, this is again just suddenly out of nowhere. This is all about earth power. Like, we went from the drug metaphor to magic being earth power. And it's like, because the Devon is, I guess, like the Devon Coven is like all earth based or whatever. But it just feels like, Willow at the end is like channeling the power of the earth to destroy the earth. And it just feels like, I already said David Fury has been reading the Dark Phoenix saga, but he's also reading Saga of the Swamp Thing because we're suddenly all about the green.
Yeah, but he's not reading it too seriously.
Yeah,
I feel like it's just like a summary of.
There's a deleted scene or a deleted line of dialogue where Giles is like, which I feel like they should have kept because it explains his vague ass statement where he's like, "She absorbed the power of true magic," where he says like, "and true magic is the spirit of the earth," or something like that, which explains like it's an entirely different mode of magic than like drug based magic. Instead of this vague ass like, girl, earth.
Dude, you really did a great Giles as Merlin impression.
I was saying it feels like a Disney explanation, a true meaning of magic.
Yeah, it totally does.
The true essence of magic, which is earth magic.
What they're really saying is, just kidding about that metaphor. It was dumb and heavy-handed. Moving on.
But really, if you read Saga of the Swamp Thing, you know that just because something's earth-based or the green-based doesn't mean it's not also drugs. Because you got to sometimes eat that magical tumor and have your magical, like, earth-connecting experience / sex. Because that shit's dope.
Thanks.
Sometimes you have to eat the tumor.
Magical mystic Alan Moore.
Yeah. If any other show in the world in the last 10 minutes of its 6th season was like the old satanic church up on Kingsman's Bluff, I'd be like, no, you need to do the work. You need to set that shit up. You cannot just be like, there's an old satanic church that we could just pull up right now. But this is Buffy and this is Sunnydale, and it totally makes sense. I've watched the show so many times and I've never even questioned how weird it is. And that satanic church, by the way, like, it's just the spire of it that pulls up. It's great looking.
Yeah, that's the best looking thing in the episode. Is the only thing is not CG.
Yeah,
that's totally why you can forgive it too. Like, it looks too good. You're like, all right.
And they, at the end they leave it, and so it's like
it's just poking out.
Kids that go up to Kingsman Bluff, it's just gonna be like, what? And also, like, Anya specifically says it was buried in the earthquake of 32. And just fun fact, the earthquake that buried the satanic church in 32 is not the same earthquake that buried the master in a church. That was in 37. And it's also not the same earthquake that buried the Spanish missionary, because that was sometime in the 1800s. So in conclusion, earthquakes in Sunnydale bury churches.
I like that. That's amazing. That's excellent research. I really like the fact that in the 30s, there's just a satanic church out in the open in California, and everyone's just apparently fine with it until there's an earthquake.
This is like pre-Anton LaVey, man.
Yeah. I imagine like some Steinbeck novel where they're trying to get to California. That's where the work is. And then they get there. It's a satanic temple.
It's all earthquakes and satanic temples. For as far as the eye can see.
Well, the first time I watched this, it was just like, what? That's crazy. Like, I think the satanic temple was a little bit overwhelming to me, that summoning. I kind of saw the episode winding down and the inevitability of it. Like, I think I was more involved, like, oh, this is, I guess, the good ending. But the second time I watched it, I think, like, I was able to actually see the performances, because I think I was caught up in like the crazy, weird narrative of it. But the second time I was more focused on characters, and the Xander Willow scene made me cry the second time, not the first time. The first time I was just like absorbing what's going on in the scene. And it was just like, I can't imagine this working. What is working? So knowing it was working, whatever Xander's gambit combined with, the, I guess, emotional space that Willow gets in. Anyway, made me cry. It was very sweet, and it was much sweeter the second time. I don't know why that is. I'll probably sure it'll be even sweeter the third time. I like seeing just Willow's kind of whatever this like magic intensity kind of turn down and then turn off. It's pretty intense to see that happen. And I like Xander bringing up like their childhood relationship. Like that's like an obvious key, and she's so cynical about it, but eventually like kind of gives in. And I know there's bigger stories going on there. I would definitely want to rewatch what's happening, but I love the was like crayon breaking or whatever.
Yeah. I think the fan term for this speech is the yellow crayon speech.
Oh gosh,
it's a powerful moment, and I think it's one of those few like Xander redemption moments.
Yeah,
where you're like, this. Oh, there's a point to you.
But I didn't expect him to be the full on, I guess, heart character, but he totally is, as it turns out.
You can tell it's in the early 2000s when your ending song was Sarah McLachlan. Like that's carbon dating. Like there's nothing better than to carbon date something from the 90s or early 2000s or early aughts.
I like that they play the song for so long and then and there's another scene after it ends,
Yeah. I also like that song must have been, must have been a not inexpensive song. I mean, it's not one of the popular Sarah McLachlan songs, but still that costs definite money.
They ended season 3 with the Sarah McLachlan song, right?
Ooh, good question. I'll look into that.
I think they did. Yeah. That's their like
that would be their
sad
go-to. Yeah. But maybe Buffy's a giant Sarah McLachlan fan.
No posters. There's no posters.
That's true. There's no evidence for it.
Not in the text, for sure.
Yeah.
And we end this episode, the season, with Spike getting his soul back.
Were you surprised?
Well, I didn't know what he wanted because they didn't explicitly state what he wanted. So that's all they had, I guess, to give us at the end. So Spike wants his soul back. I mean, then he could be a real boy, I guess. But he has a lot to overcome with his attempted rape on the way out. So I feel like he'll be crawling his way back to Buffy, which seems like it is.
Yeah.
Vengeance or otherwise. So looking forward to seeing it, I guess. It just seems like season 7 will be a mess with all these things in the mix. I guess
put that in the predictions.
Yeah, I'll put the predictions. Yeah, what I think will happen here.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I think it's built to be a surprise, and the shit that Spike says doesn't seem to indicate that he knew that that's what was going to happen, because he's all like, "I'll give that bitch what's coming to her," and all this like weird shit like that. And you're like,
totally.
Why are you saying that about becoming a better man? But I think that's just all weird writing. But let's move on to questions for the group.
Questions for the group.
I really only have one, because we've decided that we're not going to do a recap of season 6 episode of Buffy Virgin, which I think is for the best. But just very quickly, if we could, I just wanted to hear from you guys. What are your overall impressions of the season? How do you feel about the season in either your first watch or your 11 millionth?
Yeah, so I do like season 6 a lot. Clearly it has really high points. Right, Once More with Feeling, super iconic. I'll always love that episode. I'll always listen to the musical. So if nothing else happens, season 6, I will always cherish because of that. I think it's probably the most uneven season, and it with a lot of kind of very average episodes, but then all of a sudden we'll have amazing episodes. So I think for me, what I wish was that more season 6 had so much more potential. The potential for season 6, I think, was higher than other seasons, but I just don't think that it achieved the potential for the storytelling. For many of the different, I'm just sort of looking over the general episode list, but confronting how Buffy feels after being resurrected, confronting needing to be a parent and needing to be financially independent, and being essentially a single mother. That was kind of, they somewhat addressed but didn't really follow through on that. And then finally, focusing on kind of the non-supernatural elements of the Scooby group, or kind of focusing on like humans getting murdered and human suffering with Tara, not necessarily focusing just on the suffering of Buffy. And all that was very, very exciting. And I wish that was taken to the next level. I wish there was a lot of potential there. So that's what I kind of think overall.
Nice. That's a good recap.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said.
But what do you think? Hold on, I had to ramble there.
I think this starts. Oh, go ahead, John. Sorry.
No, I wanted to hear from the Virgin. That was what I was going to say.
Oh, sure. I think the season starts really strong. I think Buffy's story of resurrection and like the fact that she'd prefer to be dead. I really like that story, like the zombie Buffy story, like her friend's guilt. I think this season starts stronger than any other season as far as like the first 4 episodes. Like I'm really into this story, and then it just loses direction with Willow's drug magic and with the, I think there's a reason we like the trio. Like it's a little bit inward facing and makes me a little sad about about some aspects of nerd misogyny. But like, I think the trio is a little bit sad and random as a villain. Though ultimately, like, I think I agree with like some of the philosophies of the show about how they handle that group, but it's not as satisfying as it's not very satisfying. And then this ending is kind of feels a little bit weak and random. I mean, the fact that suddenly, and I didn't realize it until you even said it, John, that like Willow had the power to destroy the world now, this galactic level power. Like I didn't even catch it was that high level. Like destroy the world in Sunnydale, just like to me, it's like, oh cool, you're gonna blow up some buildings. Like, what are you gonna really do? It's such a strong start with the Buffy stories, and then I think the trio story is a little bit middling and strange. Though like there are some highlights there are like some heights within that story that are really fun. What they do to nerds, I really like. But once Warren's girlfriend gets murdered, right? It's like that dark turn is too dark a turn for me to take them, like to enjoy them, right? Like I think I'm kind of enjoying the trio's kind of weirdness, even though they're torturing Buffy. Like I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun. These like weird, almost like from a cartoon show hijinks. But then when they kill Warren's ex, it's like too much. And then I want them to dispense with it faster than they do because they've got 22 episodes of this to write or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So just feels like they have strong ideas that they just hold on to too long, which I think is something Buffy loves to do anyway. But the magic as drugs, just throw that PSA out, please. But we do get a really great Tara and Willow back together for one moment scene, but it sucks there's just not very much of that afterwards. And that's such a bummer because that relationship's really fun to spend time with. So it feels mixed, but it's not the worst season.
Oh, interesting. What in your
the worst season?
heart of hearts is the worst season? As a Buffy fan.
As a Buffy fan, I think the worst. I mean,
As a Buffy virgin, what's the worst season?
what's the season with Riley? Is it season 4?
I like season 4.
I like season 4
because it's a funny season.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the main issue I have with season 6 is like, where'd all the humor go, man?
Yeah.
My struggle with it is also like Buffy's depression this season. That, I mean, it's mean personally to say like somebody's got to get over something. Like if you're depressed, you can't. But it's like this isn't a real person, so I can say that. Like, and the fact that the show keeps bringing Buffy to like realization points where she's like, oh, now I have like the knowledge I need to get over it and to like move on with my life, and then the next episode resets it. That drove me crazy on this rewatch where I was like, I mean, part of it is like, if I love this character, I want them to get better. Like I want people to get help when they need it. I don't see that happening. But I guess that was my main like struggle on this rewatch was like, this show used to be fun. And now it's like, not only is a character depressed, but it's like delving into like I'm visiting depression for an hour.
And then they just keep resetting it episode after episode after episode. And for instance, and then once the trio kills that ex-girlfriend of
Carmen is her name? Is that right?
I don't remember. But then there's too many episodes of the trio trying to do wacky hijinks right after. And you just can't do that. You can't do funny wacky hijinks of these murderers.
I really like the fact that they take the left turn with the trio, right? And I think the fact that they portray them as goofy and cartoony and then take this hard left turn is a big part of the point. I think that's really intentionally structured that way, and I really like that about it. I agree with you, Travis, that you try to then go back and then give them jetpacks again after that, and it kind of doesn't work. But I also think that like there's more to be explored with that dynamic of Warren and Jonathan and the other one, and just like their power dynamic, and like Jonathan trying to do the right thing and kind of not doing it, but kind of trying to split the difference between like saving his own butt and doing the right thing. I feel like there's more story to be told there that kind of got sidelined for the Willow plot. And like that's the one I want to see more of. Like I kind of wish they almost would have stuck with that as the villain rather than evil Willow.
Whoa,
Like,
that would have
there
been
could have been something else there.
a more boring season finale. Like once Dark Willow shows up, it like finally kicks shit into high gear. We have like
Yeah, that's true.
great villain finally, and we have a whole
Yeah.
new look for a character and stuff. And it's like it only lasts for like 2 episodes.
True, but I don't know. I find Dark Willow somewhat because it's rooted in the drug metaphor. I find it all a bit trite.
All right, yeah.
And we didn't really address the Spike Buffy relationship part too, because that's such a big part of this season also.
Yeah.
And like that's such an interesting, destructive relationship for them to spend as much time as they do on it, where like Buffy hates herself. I don't know. I guess like Dennis had said, and I think everyone has kind of agreed, this is a real downer season. It's really depressing to live in someone's endlessly resetting depression. And I feel it in the way that I emotionally respond to it too. Like I think I liked parts of the storytelling, but it's also like it felt oppressive, and I didn't like feel joy watching the show in the same way that I felt watching season 4. Even though season 4 is dumb, that's not totally dumb. It's all the episodes are like the show is not dumb, but like in season 4, like the Riley stories, like the Riley Buffy relationship is so absurd in places, and Riley's such a doofus. And then when they build up the plot about the initiative, like I'm along for the ride, I guess. What are they? Well, really, Professor Walsh is behind this week. Okay. Anyway, it's just like it's such a crazy story, but like it filled me with joy at the end because I think the stakes were so absurd. I think in season 6 the stakes are so personal that it's painful to reset that versus like the school is secretly running this, covert military operations where they're kidnapping monsters. Like, okay, really? Sure. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't they? And like, I see it like I wanted to write songs about it. I wanted to like, that was more of a fun world that like hit my brain in the right way. This is like just it's too dark a space to spend too much time in.
Yeah.
The ending doesn't pull us out.
Yeah, and I didn't feel myself, with the exception of I think these last couple of episodes, I didn't feel myself looking forward to rewatching the episodes for the cast. I always look forward to like the Sunday morning seeing you guys, but I'm like, all right, I can put off watching the episode for another hour, like, instead of.
Yeah, I mean, part of that again is something we've said, I think, enough that we don't need to say it anymore, really. But like, part of that is the declining number of one-shot episodes and the increasing number of arc episodes where like, and I think it's made it harder for us to do the podcast where like, it feels like we're not reviewing an episode, we're reviewing one act of an episode half the time.
Deep stuff.
But I'm going to throw in one final theme, and I'm going to call it Willow doesn't live here anymore. The destruction and rebuilding of Willow's identity. Because like that seems to be a big theme this episode is, and for this last arc is like Willow losing herself, not only in the drugs, but in like purposely escaping her own identity. So Willow doesn't live here anymore is Dark Willow's own quote.
Right.
And like last episode, Willow started to refer to her past in the third person. And then this episode also has when Xander shows up, he starts calling her Willow, and she's like, "Don't call me that," because like that's also a theme that happens in Dark Phoenix. Which I can keep bringing up is like the Jean Grey identity gets erased and is replaced with the Phoenix and then the Dark Phoenix. And one of the first things that the Phoenix has to do is like erase all of the connections to Jean Grey. So that's why she goes after the X-Men and goes after her former family. So I just thought that was interesting. I started reading last night. My God, it's like a Greek tragedy. Willow Rosenberg and Human Irrationality by James B. South from the book Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Philosophy. And his discussion is about human irrationality, which I guess is like a Plato idea. But one of the things he argued, so the argument about irrationality is just that humans have irrationality in them. And like, as much as you want to analyze what they do and why they do things, there's just an element of like completely irrational behavior that like defies any kind of like rationale. But part of the way he sets this up is he has this argument that unlike every other main character, Willow, because of her extravagant range of interests and roles, is evidence of the fact that there appears to be no core identity to Willow, which I thought he's saying this about like early Willow, which I think is interesting because part of why he says that is like her interest in both being a computer geek, a practitioner of Wicca, an excellent student, and an aide to the Slayer. But it's like I mean, to me, that's like you're just a multifaceted person, unlike.
Right.
But I guess within like a storytelling, where storytelling is simplifying a human, Willow does not exemplify that. And if you look back, even to like season 4, when she's getting into Wicca, one of her problems is she's so distracted that like when she casts a spell, it goes 5 different ways instead of just focused on one. So that's something Willow has always from the beginning struggled with her own both her own like self-deprecation and her own like refusal to look at her own identity, right? So she's always calling like her stupid mousy ways, things like that. So that is part of what the like Willow drug stuff could be about, like wanting to escape, like what is part of the desire of drug use is like wanting to escape yourself, right? And ultimately forming like Dark Willow. Does she like finally lose her own identity completely? And that's why like Xander's final moment is so powerful, is like, let's bring you back to your real core identity, like who you were as a kid. And like, we'll see like your core identity through my friendship is the thing that'll rebuild you.
Well, it's interesting. I'm just thinking about in Angel, right? How Fred didn't want to see her family because if she saw her family, it made the things that happened to her real. And I feel like that's connected, it's connected to what you're talking about. And that like, if Willow is a different person, it's almost like the harm she's causing, the things she's doing don't count because it's a different person, right? It's not Willow doing those things.
Yeah.
Then there's like the Buffy's journey in a way through the season is almost the opposite, which is like she needs to learn that some things she does don't matter. Like having sex with a gross person is something you just did. It doesn't have to be a moral judgment on you.
It doesn't have to reframe your identity. Yeah, that's a good argument. One of the things that the audience anger reaction towards the end of the season is Dark Willow isn't Willow. Like this,
right?
Trying to murder the world and stuff isn't the character we've been following for 6 seasons. The episode is in fact arguing, it's not, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a good observation that impulse in Willow to not be Willow has gone back all the way to season 1.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about Moloch and dating the guy on the internet, and like that was a way, like that also felt like her, she wants to be someone else. She wants to pretend she's not Willow and an online romance. Like, and
Doppelgangland, like that's her struggle that episode before she even runs into Vamp Willow is like, I'm not Old Faithful. I don't want to be your sidekick.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what I got.
That's a super interesting read on the arc of that whole character. That's cool.
And I just like that you created some continuity there between season 6 and season 1, because I've just been watching this and thinking back to season 1 and 2 and like, what a goddamn different show this is. And like, the tone is so different.
Yeah. Remember when the show was about vampires in high school?
Remember when it was fun and silly? Like,
all right, let's move on to recommendations.
Recommendations.
So the first thing I thought, I got a couple different categories. The first thing I thought was magic fights. And for my money, the dopest magic battle is Lord of Illusions. It's a movie with Scott Bakula plays one of Clive Barker's recurring characters, like Harry Dayam Moore, I think, who's like a detective. And but the whole thing is like a battle between 2 different magicians. And it begins with an awesome magic battle and it ends with an awesome magic battle. And then the thing I think this episode is directly referencing when they do the Giles on the floor, Giles on the ground, is Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings, the dope-ass Saruman versus Gandalf battle with Christopher Lee. That's a dope battle also. And then I was like, let's throw out some Satan movies, because like this episode ends with, the Satanic Church and everything. But I was like, I'm going to pick ones that have devil in the title. And I'm going to pick the one, Devil's Reign. I'm going to pick both because Shatner's in it. Shatner's the main character, and Ernest Borgnine is the church leader. And Anton LaVey was like consulted on it. So it's like accurate Satanism. The movie's not super great, but it's like a fun, campy movie. Ernest Borgnine becomes like a goat-headed demon in it at the end.
It sounds
John Travolta has his first like role in it. He's like a background guy or something. I've never been able to spot him in it, but he's like in the cast list. And then also because of Christopher Lee, I'll recommend the British movie The Devil Rides Out. Typical kind of like British kind of boring. I think it's an Amicus horror. It's definitely not a Hammer horror, but it has a really awesome devil-themed ending. And that's all I'll say. And then because we're talking about Saga, the Swamp Thing, and like Earth Power and the Power of the Green, got to go with Wes Craven's Swamp Thing. Movie's pretty good. Even friggin' Ebert liked it. He'll tell you that he watched it expecting it to be a dog of the week and was surprised by how good it was. It's not as good as like reading the comics, but it's pretty enjoyable. The first Swamp Thing is better than Swamp Thing Returns, even though Swamp Thing Returns uses art by Stephen Bissett and John Tottleman in it. But that movie's a weird comedy. The first Swamp Thing kind of treats the idea a little bit seriously. So those are my recs.
All right.
Do we want to do, where do we go from here before predictions?
Where do we go from here?
As we finish Buffy season 6, we are reminded that Buffy will eventually end, but our friendship will not. So guys, where do we go from here? And just based on the casual conversation we had before we started recording, I was like, fast food podcast. Because we all got shit to say about fast food. And then John and I were like talking about like weird physical challenges. And it was like how bad that is when you're an old, when you're older like us.
Yeah.
We can maybe subtitle it Men on the Decline when it comes to
Oh, so it's also you're harshly judging yourself for enjoying fast food?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like challenges like how much Mountain Dew can I drink before I have to go to the bathroom? And it's like
So
the kind of physical challenges you used to, but you can't do them anymore.
Okay, so there'd be physical challenges on this podcast?
It would be,
Yeah, you know that kind of like those kind of YouTube videos with those like square-jawed men with big teeth who like are like handsome and like do crazy shit. We'll do that, except we're old and not very good looking.
And so we do physical challenges related to fast food?
like how much can you eat $20 worth of food at Taco Bell?
How long will it take you to eat a Crave case?
Which is a real challenge we've tried. But we made somebody else do it. Also, speed up our own decline.
I mean, there's a novelty factor to fast food that doesn't exist in other types of food. That's super fascinating, right? Because like fast food, it's like they're literally coming up with a new combination or trying to of cheese and crunchiness and, a new combination of fried things like to try and entice you because you're lazy and you have no time and you need a thing, right? Like, unfortunately, we have to eat. Like, fast food is everywhere. I think just like eating fast food and reviewing fast food would be super fun to do because it's like, that's a treat. And like, not something I would do deliberately, but yeah, I don't want to be a fast food guy.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be my thing because I can just see this, just like the Buffy stuff where it's like people bring up Buffy to me. They want to talk about their Buffy opinions. Like, it is an endless conversation about fast food that we'd be involved with the world, which a lot of it, but I just don't think this is a good one, guys. I think just,
All right.
Well, they can't all be winners.
well, just for your spiritual mental health, like, do you want to talk about fast food with friends? Probably 20 minutes a day. I don't know.
I mean, 20 minutes every day is a lot.
Oh, Dennis, you're into fast food. Oh, did you see the new thing that they got over at Subway? They got a new footlong. Did you see that? Oh, Dennis, do you see? I mean, just like every time it comes up, you're going to get pinged with that stuff. And then you're going to have an opinion about it because you're the opinion guy. But we would have opinions. It's
That's the worst part.
Wow, this theoretical fast food podcast really took off in my mind.
I'm stressed out.
It's ruining our lives already.
Just contacting you out of the blue all the time about fast food.
Hi, I just made a movie about fast food.
You know what? If you guys got all the emails, if they came to your accounts, like Dennis gets it because they go to the YouTube comments and he's on the Twitter and stuff. But I get the emails. I don't want fast food emails because it's mostly coupons. 99%.
Unless a better idea comes up. But let's do predictions, guys. We got a big one this week.
Virgin predictions.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, we're going to have a lot of predictions to talk about because since we're not going to do a season 6 roundup episode, all of the end of season 6 predictions are going to fall in here. And even without that, we have a lot of predictions to talk about. So it's going to be a bunch. Michael, let's go over your current scores. Your current overall accuracy is a 66.05%. Interesting factoid, if you care, is that it seems to be that the super predictions have had a net positive effect. We've been doing this for a while now. You've actually, just because of the super predictions factor, you've gained about 3% just from that. So it seems like the super predictions are helping you more than they're hurting.
By 3%.
By 3%. That's not nothing.
This feels like Olympians getting a little bit better. It's like that performance enhancing drug is helping you 3%.
You shaved 0.01 seconds off of your time, buddy. This inflatable underwear is really
that carbon fiber bicycle is increasing your speed by 3%.
Yeah, I believe that the super prediction system is the carbon fiber bicycle of this spreadsheet. Your accuracy for season 6 as a season is currently at a 70.09. Still your second best season overall. It doesn't seem likely that we're going to make it better than your best season, which was season 2. Because you have to gain a whole 5%. Doesn't seem likely, but we do have a lot to talk about. It could be that you go up a whole 5%. We'll see. It's possible. You never know. Carbon fiber bicycle. Okay. So rewinding the clock way back, season 2, episode 8, Michael predicted that the Halloween episode will be called back. Specifically, that Willow was a ghost. I didn't highlight this one. Dennis highlighted it. Why did you highlight this one?
I highlighted it kind of connected to my themes that Willow doesn't exist anymore. So the Willow walking around is kind of a ghost. This is Willow referencing it herself, kind of. That was just my idea.
It was not specifically referenced that Willow was a ghost, nor was the episode called back. I see your point that they're thematically in line, but that's not quite a callback now, is it?
It's not. I just thought it was worth bringing up.
All right, no problem. We're going to call that the close but no cigar factor. I think the thematically correct, if not factually correct. Okay, so season 3, episode 7, Michael predicted that the Watcher Council is concerned with bigger shit than Buffy and Giles. And I wanted to talk about this one because Giles specifically says that the Watcher Council has no idea what's going on in the world in this episode, and we could maybe make the argument to denying this one. I think we got to leave it open because it wasn't that specific a comment, but
yeah, it's a good argument that there is in fact not shit that they're doing.
Yeah, what are they even doing right now? They don't seem to be watching Buffy that closely. Are they watching Faith more closely?
They're writing essays and shit. I don't know.
Yeah. Buffy, season 4, episode 17. This is well before the trio existed. Michael predicted that Jonathan will join the Scooby Gang for an adventure and not be very helpful. So at some point, Jonathan's running around with, Xander and the crew in the cemetery. They're trying to escape. It's a part of the Scooby Gang. I don't know if they have a full quorum at that point because it's really just Xander and Dawn, but he definitely was along with them, and he was definitely not very helpful. Runs off first opportunity.
Yeah, I'd say if your argument is just that it's not the full Scooby Gang as a reason for denying it, that's weak.
Okay,
yeah,
I think it's a confirmation. Yeah, give him this one.
Yeah.
All right. So that one is confirmed.
It's certainly not how Jonathan wanted it to happen. But.
No, that's certainly true. Okay, Buffy season 5, episode 19. Willow will cast a spell to forget Tara. Now, we have a Willow who is grief-struck in this episode, and she feels the suffering of the world and wants to destroy everything to end the suffering. That would include her suffering over her memory of Tara. Thus, she was attempting to cast a spell to forget Tara. Travis says no. I mean, I think destroying the entire world means you're going to forget everything.
But it's not a spell to forget.
A spell.
It's not a spell to forget Tara. It's a spell to destroy the world.
Fine. All right. Got to leave that one open then because it could happen at any time. You never know. Okay. We're starting to get into some ones here that are specific season 6 predictions. Okay. Michael predicted a new John's curse. We never see a collectible Backstreet Boys lunchbox in season 6. And I got to say, I was looking out for it. Never popped up. No Backstreet Boys lunchbox in the entirety of season 6. I feel like this one was a bit silly, but a confirmation is a confirmation. We'll count it. Okay.
Do you feel a relief that this curse has been lifted?
No, because I'm going to be watching Buffy just as closely as I always would. It doesn't going to change anything about the way that I frame by frame this shit. Okay. Buffy, season 6, episode 2. Willow is going to say out loud that she didn't bring Buffy back to life. How so, Dennis?
She said the exact opposite this episode. She said, I brought you
It's true.
out of the grave. I'm putting you in. So
We're
there's,
going to deny this one.
yeah, I think this is a definite
Yeah.
denial.
I mean, I suppose technically she could go back and then just for no reason say she didn't, but yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Okay. Season 6, episode 3. There will be more negative consequences for Buffy's resurrection. Is all of this negative consequences of Buffy's resurrection in some form or fashion is what I'm asking here? Like, Willow is put on the path to evil magic, starting with killing the fawn.
I mean, I think this whole season has been negative consequences of Buffy's resurrection, and we could have like done this at any point, but it's good to do it now in the final.
Yeah, I think we can say that there's, generally speaking, negative consequences. That's confirmed. Okay, very good. That's a confirmation. Good. Okay. Season 6, episode 4, Giles forgives Willow for reviving Buffy in season 6. I'm actually not sure why I highlighted this one, because that hasn't happened, but it could still happen. Oh no, I can see why. Because here's why. Because if you read this, does it mean Giles forgives Willow for the revival which happened in season 6? Or does it mean Giles will forgive in season 6 Willow? Is he going to forgive Willow during season 6? Because there's the way that it's written, it could be still ambiguous. So if he doesn't forgive her during the season,
I would argue that he may have, because but one of the things Buffy says while they're recapping is she's like, I just don't know, I always brought back. And Giles says, like, because the world still needs you or something.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So
he's
just
on board at least.
Yeah. Him just being like,
okay,
it's good you're brought back. The world still needs you.
Yeah.
That's actually enough for me to confirm this, I think. I'm happy with that. All right.
See, Mike, I'm not always trying to drag you down.
Season 6, episode 9, Michael made a super prediction. This is a super prediction. Amy will not survive season 6.
You were super wrong, son.
As far as we know, Amy is still alive. I mean, maybe she died at the hands of Rack at some point, but as far as we know, she's still alive. So we're going to go ahead and deny that one. Season 6, episode 12, Amy gets recruited by the trio, which I maintain is excellent fanfic. Like, I want to read that. That sounds incredible.
Technically, that could still happen, because if
You're right.
Amy joins Jonathan and Andrew, they're a trio once more.
Oh, that's true. Oh, that's true. They'd go from being a duo, but they wouldn't be the trio. Let's just deny.
Could you be recruited by the trio if it only becomes a trio once you join?
I guess you're right. That can't happen. Yeah.
I'm going to deny this one.
You can make a new prediction about the duo.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay. We still have so many predictions to go. It's a lot of predictions. Okay. Season 6, episode 15, Buffy gets a new job, meaning after the Little Meat Palace, in season 6. Buffy gets a new job in season 6. She did not get a new job in season 6. That's denied.
He's a lifer, baby.
Season 6, episode 16, no more marriages in season 6 of Buffy. That is correct. There have been no more marriages.
That was a safe fucking bet.
Season 6, episode 16 as well. Anya and Xander don't, quote, for real, end quote, reunite in season 6. They don't get back together. I think it's confirmed. They did not reunite.
Listen, it could have been a magic spell, John. All right. That's why I got
it. Could have. You're right. No, I think it's fair.
Could have just been a hookup. Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. Season 6, episode 18. We have a pair of sex predictions, or lack of sex predictions. First, Spike and Anya won't have sex again in season 6. That is true. They did not. And also, Buffy and Spike won't have sex again in season 6, and they did not. So that is also confirmed. Okay. Season 6, episode 18, Willow and Tara's relationship will make Michael cry in a future episode. So, Michael, here's the thing. You cried in this episode. Did you cry because of Willow and Tara's relationship, though?
Oh, I cried because of Willow and Xander's relationship.
I mean, it's rooted in Willow's grief. Like, that's a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
You got to tell me how many of those tears were for which cause.
And how many were just because Sarah McLachlan was playing?
Yeah.
it was before Sarah McLachlan played. Once that started playing, the tears stopped immediately.
So I think we have to leave this one open, the crying because of Willow and Tara's relationship. Sorry. You could predict, tears for other reasons, and then all you got to do is wait till the right moment, like pull out a nose hair, right? Okay. Season 6, episode 18. Michael made a super prediction here. Dawn will get casually invited to patrol. I want to confirm this one because I think this is another close but no cigar situation where Michael was right. He's on the right track here, where Dawn is invited into the gang. Buffy hands her a sword and says, "Fight by my side." It's just not a patrol. And it was casual the way she did it too. She's just like, here. And it was a moment. Got to leave it open though, because it wasn't a patrol. That may happen in the future. We don't know. Season 6, episode 20. Andrew and Jonathan aren't killed by Willow. They could still die in Willow's hands, but I think given that we kind of know Willow is no longer evil, I think we can go ahead and confirm this one now. I hope people are okay with that.
I guess so. It would be
Hope
great
that's not a spoiler.
season 7 regular Willow just murders them.
Yeah, flies to Mexico and shoots.
Or just as an accident, season 6, episode 20, Spike gets his chip removed this season. That did not happen. He did not get his chip removed.
Got something else added.
That's a super prediction, and thus a super denial.
Oh no, this is all terrible. This is so many
Okay.
sleepers.
Season 6, episode 21, Xander will defeat Willow. I think in any reasonable way of looking at this, that's correct. I think
that is an amazing prediction. That should have been your stupid, my friend.
It really should have. Season 6, episode 21, Michael predicts Spike will become human.
Sorry.
Yeah, he hasn't.
What's amazing about this is last week you said you were in your kind of rant, but not typing it down. Said or get his soul or something. Typed that. But we made you refine it to what is this?
Yeah, so it would be wrong. That's classic you.
Season 6, episode 21, and this is a super prediction. Michael predicted that Giles, aka the Ripper, is going to die fighting Willow, which he did not. He almost did, really close, but he does not die.
That's such bullshit too, because they even the whole I'm dying, and then as soon as the magic Willow's magic starts receding or whatever, and Xander succeeds, is I'm gonna be all right. He doesn't say that, but just everything starts to perk up. And
it's like in Who Framed Rabbit when the dip is coming to him, and we're gonna die, we're not gonna die.
It's just such a quick reversal. Whatever, this show.
John, make sure to deny the Spike will become human. Oh, no, wait, that's open. I see. Never mind.
Yes, that one's open because that could happen at any time.
By human lightning.
Exactly. So thus, Michael, that makes 10 confirmations and 6 denials. Okay. Of course, some of them being supers. We don't know. The results here are that your overall accuracy has actually gone down from 66.05 to 64.55. So you lost about a percentage and a point and a half.
Wow. All your gains, man. All your gains.
Yeah.
And
supers.
your
John
accuracy
supers were so great.
For season 6 has dropped from a 70.09 down to a 69 dudes 0.11%.
Oh man.
Season 6 is now a D season. You only have one C season.
That's about
So
right.
close,
Season
so
6 is a D season.
What's his grade in England?
It would be higher. The way that they it would be higher. English assessments are what they call norm referenced, meaning that your grades are largely based on how other people do in the year group. So yeah, as opposed to being criterion reference, it's something that I think is not great about the English education system. And I will do that rant another time.
But they don't have A's. They have 1s, 2s, right?
Well, they used to have ABC, yeah, but they've actually replaced that recently on the GCSEs with a 1 through 9 system, but it's basically the same thing.
All I know is owls, man. Man. Well, that was something, guys. I feel like we just fucking finished a season.
Yeah.
Well, I got new predictions, of course. I believe that the Spike rape scene is going to be brought up again in season 7. There's no way not, because Spike's on his way back. I think Willow's going to summon warriors to fight for her in season 7. I think there's just the things you can do now. Spike's going to be out and about in the daytime. We don't know what having a soul means, but he's always out and about in the daytime anyway.
It's true.
The duo gets an appearance for an episode in season 7. I feel like we enjoy Andrew and Jonathan's characters, and they're probably available.
If the duo appears for more than an episode, do we deny this?
Oh no, it doesn't. Then it doesn't exclude.
At least one episode
Okay.
in season 7. There you go. You got to use math on some of these guys. No consequences in super protection. No consequences for Willow killing Warren in season 7. I don't think Willow's going to go to jail. I think killing Warren is just justice, and there's nothing to worry about. That seems crazy to me, but I think that's the way the show wants to play it.
Maybe say legal consequences.
Yeah, she's not going to. There might be other consequences, right? No legal consequences. She might feel guilt. That's not a legal consequence. She's not going to go to jail.
Damn it, Travis. I was going to deny the shit out of that.
He was just going on and on about going to jail. I'm like, dude, that's just one type of consequence.
All right, Travis with the save.
Look at us, just helping him.
Boom.
I'm helping myself as much, so I don't have to endure some split decision.
True. All right, guys. I think that's it. I don't feel like describing who I am right now because I've done it so many times. Just thank you one and all for listening and talking to us about
It's season
Virgin.
6. We're so tired.
Dude, it's season 6 in 2020. Are you kidding me?
This is a lot, guys. This is a lot.
This is at
Like
the end of
after
the
I watch a depressing episode, I can't even go outside. I gotta live with it.
I was
Can't
like,
visit my
yes,
friends.
let's burn the world down. I was like, the end of season 6 is like how I feel right now at the end of 2020. Someone wants to destroy this marble? Go ahead.
Oh man. All right. Well, you know where to find us. We're Buffy Virgin. Please rate us and shit. And we'll see you in hell.